I could feel the pressure of his wife on him. He goes, "Oh, we need to do it. We need to do it like right now." And so this is a guy that needed to come up with money for a particular reason, and he didn't have the money. So I asked an unfair question. I said, "All right, so what is this simple secret that changed my sales game forever? What is it?" A lot of your resistance in sales is you don't know what to say, right? And so if they say, "I want to think about it. I want to talk to my spouse. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. This is too expensive." A lot of you don't know what to say. You're not sure, like, well, what do I say to that, right? And a lot of times, the best thing you can say is ask a question. Here's one of my favorites. Hey, okay, let's say that you have someone, you ask them, "Hey, I'm doing this thing to make extra money. Would you be open to taking a look at it?" And they say, "Sure." And you say, "Okay, I got a video does a better job than I could do. Can I send that over to you?" Okay. You send them the video. They watch it. You get back with them and they say, "Well, let me think about it," or "I'm not sure. I don't know." Whatever they say. Here's a really simple question. What made you want to watch the video? See, you think that you have to have some amazing speech or some kind of, yeah, you think you have to have some pre-planned amazing rebuttal. Sometimes the best thing is just ask a question. Is just to ask a question. What made you take a look at it? I'm just curious. See, it's a very disarming question. Now, you could ask bad questions, certainly. Well, what's keeping you from moving forward today? Like that, uh, that's not the greatest question because that seems a little forced, seems a little aggressive, a little pushy, a little salesy. I'm just curious what had you watch it? Another question that I ask, if they're negative to it, if you have them watch a video or attend a webinar or attend a meeting or whatever, and they're negative to it, I might ask, well, what were you hoping to see? See, that's similar. It's similar. And this is understanding position. You've heard me talk about the 4P method. The 4P method is pipeline, posture, perspective, position. So questions are almost always going to be related to position. So if they've taken a step, if they've watched a video, if they've eaten a sample, if they attended a webinar, if they raise their hand, if they express interest, you can always, when you can't progress, you can fall back on position. What's their position? What have they done? How have they moved toward the sale? Why? What were you hoping to see? What made you watch it? What's not good is what's there to think about? That's not a good question. See, that seems forced, pushy, aggressive, salesy. Not good. And so it's not just how do I overcome an objection? It's how do I get the mind of the person that created an objection to think differently? And usually that's with questions. Here's one of my favorites. So let's say that someone watches a video, they go through your funnel or whatever it is that you use. Okay. They go through it and then they say, "Nah, I just don't think this is a fit for me." You would not say, "Here's why I think it's a fit for you. Here's the 3 reasons why I think you'd be perfect for this." That's pushy. That's aggressive. It's silly, dumb, not going to work. What if I say, "Well, hey, I'm just curious. What made you want to watch the presentation in the first place?" Now, if you led with money, and I'm not saying that's the answer, sometimes it makes sense to lead with money. Sometimes it makes sense to lead with product. I have a project right now that I never lead with the compensation. I always lead with the product. And then they typically fall in love with the product and they want to promote it. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I tell them they can promote it, no problem. But I typically lead with the product in this particular project. But there's been projects where I never led with the product, that I led with the compensation. But if you've gotten them on that webinar or gotten them on that video or in that funnel by talking about money, and you ask, "Well, what made you want to watch the presentation in the first place?" They're probably going to say something like, "Well, I would like to make some extra money." And so here's a 1-2 punch if you get that answer. So let's say you're like, "Okay, well, I'm just curious, what made you want to watch the presentation in the first place?" They're probably going to say something like, "Well, I was hoping I do need to make some extra money." Now, make extra money is about the same surface level answer as "I want to lose weight." Neither of them are very compelling. Why? Why do you want to lose weight? For example, I have oh boy, let's see. Holy cow. This can't be right. Okay. 95. Oh my goodness. I have my 30-year high school reunion coming up. Oh, I'm getting up there, guys. I'm getting up there. But here in whatever, a week or so, a week and a half, I have my 30-year high school reunion. Oh my goodness, 30-year. I just said it out loud. It's crazy. So if you ask someone, hey, if they say, I want to lose weight, that's not a good enough reason. But maybe they have a high school reunion coming up. Maybe they want to look good. Maybe they want to make their ex feel like an idiot for ever leaving them. See, that's a compelling reason. I don't want to lose weight is not a compelling reason. Even health reasons isn't a very compelling reason for most people. So I'd like to make money. That's usually not a very compelling reason. Okay. Is there a particular reason you want to make more money? I've shared several examples over the last few weeks with you guys, but here's one. So I have this guy watch the presentation. I follow up with him and he's like, I just don't think it's a fit for me. And I said, okay, cool. I was just curious, what made you watch the presentation in the first place? And he said, well, I'd like to make some extra money. I'm like, well, is there a reason? Is there a particular reason? And I'd like to make some extra money. I'm like, well, is there a particular reason? I had to ask him twice. And it's like that guy on Austin Powers, right? If you ask them 3 times, they have to answer. And so he says, well, my mom is living with my wife and I. I'm like, okay. And we really need to put her in a home. I'm like, okay, is that optional? He said, we really need to put her in a home and I don't have the money for it. And I said, okay, is that optional or is that something you need to do? I could feel the pressure of his wife on him. He goes, oh, we need to do it. We need to do it like right now. And so this is a guy that needed to come up with money for a particular reason. And he didn't have the money. So I asked an unfair question. I said, well, if you don't do this, how will you come up with the money? See, if he knew that answer, we wouldn't be talking. He doesn't know that answer. Some people would be worried about asking that. I call it a green light. Some people would say, well, if you don't do this, what else would you do? You think they're like, oh, well, I could, get some vending machines and I could start a car wash and I could get apartment buildings. And you think they have all these options. They don't have options. That's why they're talking to you. They don't know how to make extra money. That's why they're talking to you. When you green light, it actually highlights your option. It makes your option stand out. And also there's powerful language in that, right? There's a mini embedded command there. If you don't do this, how will you come up with the money? It's a green light. They don't have that answer. So it makes your option look more prominent, makes your option make more sense. And so he thought about it. He's like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And I could sense that he's asking the question, can I do this? Can I figure this out? And I said, listen, if you're coachable, which no one in the world, most people aren't coachable, to be honest. They're not. I tell them what to do. They won't do it. But if you say no one wants to be known as not coachable, so you can set an identity, right? You can set an identity by saying, hey, are you coachable? You'll never ask someone and they say, no, I am not. I am not coachable. I'm quite rebellious. They'll never answer you that way, ever. If you go to one of your teammates that isn't coachable at all, is hard-headed, stubborn, never listens to you, and you say, hey, are you coachable? They're going to say, absolutely. But see, now they don't know it, but they've set an identity of coachability, at least for that temporary frame of time. They'll go back to being uncoachable as soon as the conversation's over. But in that conversation, they're coachable. And so I said, hey, if you're coachable, I'll show you exactly what to do. And he moved forward. That works. These tactics and techniques that I teach on my YouTube channel and here with you guys, this isn't going to take someone who absolutely hates the idea of working with you, starting a business or whatever it is that you're selling. And all of a sudden they're just going to buy because you're so hypnotic. But it's going to take the 10 to 20% of people who would have stayed on the fence and moved them off the fence. So the simple secret that changed my sales game forever is asking more questions. Stop thinking you have to have a 1-page response to everything that they say. Ask questions. What were you hoping to see? If you don't do this, how will you come up with the money? If you don't do this, how will you be able to travel more? If you don't do this, how will you improve your health? If you don't do this, how will you fit into that little black dress? You take questions. You know what it is that's important to them. You take questions and you align those benefits they're looking for. Okay. You align those two and you'll be off to the races. And so there you go. That is the simple secret. Changed my sales game forever. Asking more questions. When you're feeling like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Ask yourself, What position is the prospect in? And ask them a question about that. What made you want to take the call? What made you want to watch the presentation? What were you hoping to see? What has you looking for a way to sleep better? So when you're in I don't know what to say, go to their position. Where are they? What steps have they taken? Why did they take them? Learn more, gather more intel, and you'll be a better closer. And yes, we have a brand new YouTube channel. It's all on sales, and we've been mega dosing it. That thing is on. Fortunately, they don't test the channel for performance enhancing drugs because that thing is on fire. But if you'd like to check it out, you can at higdongroup.com/channel. higdongroup.com/channel. So I appreciate you so very much. I do hope that you guys will check out this Sales Evolution Workshop, from proven techniques to AI integration. That's going to be me and my good friend Mark Herbert, helping you just absolutely crush it in sales for the rest of 2025 and beyond. And you can learn more at higdongroup.com/. I appreciate you so very much. God bless you. God bless your family. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.